Hello everyone, this is Professor Tariq Al-Taib. In this video, we're gonna talk about processing, crime, and incident scenes. So let's go. So in this chapters, we're gonna explain the rules for controlling digital evidence, describe how collect the evidence at private sector incident scenes, explain guidelines of for processing, law enforcement, crime scenes. Then we list the steps in preparing for evidence search, describe how to secure computer incident or crime scene, explain guidelines for seizing digital evidence at scene, list procedures for storing digital evidence, explain how to obtain digital hash, which is digital signature with the we talk about this we call digital hash, we can explain it, review a case to identify requirement and plan your investigation. So digital evidence, identifying digital evidence, it can be very important because it can be any information stored or transmitted in digital formats. Previous chapter we explain we have a call something called computer or machine language or computer language, which is we have a zero and one, so we call binary language, so this make it digital, any things, because before that we have something else we cannot go. So we can before the computer digital language is one, we were able to transfer the data from place to place, but not digital format. Now, digital format, any format using zero and one. Okay, so it be stored or transmitted in digital form. So any digital form meaning using the zero or one, systems. U.S. courts accept digital evidence as a physical evidence, and this is very important. So physical evidence is any something touchable, or any something you can touch it and you can hand it or something like that. This is the physical evidence. But U.S. courts will accept any digital evidence. If you say, hey, this is the email, I print out the email, it considered as a digital evidence. So digital data is treated as a tangible object. Groups such as scientific working group on digital evidence, this is also good resources to define about definition and about standard of digital evidence. Uh, General tasks investigators perform when you're working with the digital evidence. First of all, you need to identify what digital information or artifacts that you can be used to as evidence. Because the challenge here, when you obtain the data from any computers to, and then you want to search in this computer to find any evidence, you're gonna find maybe 500 gig or something like that of the data. So this is one of the, you need that, where's the informations, where's the things I'm gonna use it to identify, so I can find informations, then identify this information as evidence. Collect and preserve document evidence. So meaning here, when you obtain the data, collect the data, you need to keep this data or this informations unchangeable. Nobody can uh, even nothing change. This data will be identical or similar 100%, no change from the computer that you find. For example, suspicious computer, you find a document file has a 100 word, you can keep it same as. Then after you obtain the data, you need to analyze, identify, and organize the evidence. For example, you find many evidence. You found many data could be using as evidence. So you can say this part of data, emails that can show this guy or this person, owner of the computer, suspicious computers, has email this organization which is illegal, for example. So you're gonna organize this email, this stuff, analyzing them, then identify as a type, maybe image, some emails, some Word document, stuff like that. Rebuild the evidence or repeat the situation. This is we talk. I have talked about it. You're gonna find this every time this kind of step, or rebuild the evidence, or repeat the evidence, or repeat how to find the evidence. It's very important. Why? Because sometimes when you're doing search, and when you work in the big case, maybe not only you work searching in this data, maybe have a team. So you need so maybe this data will be somehow by accidentally, without intention, someone manipulated, changed the folder from the place to place. So some things happen. It may be the data, the folders, the stuff are not the same in the real one, in the suspicious computer. So the best way of to find evidence, you're gonna close the case, close the software, and open again and try to search to find. If every time the same steps, you follow the same steps, you found this evidence, that you are good. If you are not able to reproduce the same evidence, for example, first time to after that you try to the second time, you're not able to find the same data, same locations, meaning there's something wrong. So the repeating or rebuild the evidence, one is very important step to make you have accurate evidence. Collecting digital devices while processing criminal incidents scene must done systematically. Systematically meaning you're gonna follow in every case, different cases. You have a system, you have steps you follow, because this is one of the questions you're going to ask you in the court. Many times, the investigators are going to go to the court. They're going to call the court to search and find evidence in the real computers, because maybe attorney say, "Hey, now this is not this information that exists in the computer that they found." Consistent practice, actually practices help verify your work to enhance your credibility. So the consistent Consistent is a practice to verify your work enhances accountability, meaning you seem techniques and improving this technique from time to time. It's very important. Comply with your state's rules of evidence, with the federal rules of evidence. So sometimes we have a federal rules and we have a state rules. So the state rules, this is could be tricky, because sometimes the rules or regulations from state to state will be different. So you need to follow. That's why we say, as a computer forensics investigator, you have to work with the team, because um, 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 you need someone expertise in the law, from they can find different how to find different regulations and from state to state. Evidence admitted in criminal cases can be used to civil suit and vice versa. Okay, keep current of the latest rulings and directives on collecting, processing, storing digital evidence. Data you discover from forensic examination falls under states rules evidence. That's obvious, and also or could be federal evidence, federal rules evidence. So some criminals consider federal criminals, some criminals consider state criminals first, then federal criminal. This is law stuff. Again, that's why you need your expertise in the laws. Some people understand the law and the regulations, work with you. Digital evidence, unlike other physical evidence, because if you find digital evidence, for example, if you found like a gun or something, no one can change it. It's hard to change it. But the problem with digital evidence, it easy can be changed. For example, if I found Word file or any files, I can add anything inside it. So that's why we need a more accurate way to keep this data um, 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 safe from any undesirable change. Because also there is some people gonna work to uh, like spread the heresies about the case. People have a benefit to make influence about public opinion or stuff like that. Business record exceptions, allow you understanding, also under understanding. So allow record of regularly conduct activities such as business memos, reports, record or data completions. So also business record are authentic to be verifying by that where we creating at near time or by transmitted or person with knowledge. Also, business records admissible if a record was kept in the like a regularly conducted business activity, which is such as like a logs files. Computer records usually divided into computer generated record or computer stored records. So sometimes generated record meaning the file created by computer himself and saving to the computer, or computer received this file somewhere then stored in the computers. So computer generated and computer stored record must show authentic and trustworthy uh, to be admitted into evidence. So we need to show the core, this data or these files. No one, when you found it in the computer or special computer, no one was able to change it or able to manipulate with it. Okay, computer generated code are considered authentic if the program that created the output functions correctly, usually consider that an exceptions and hearsay rules. Collecting evidence according to the approved steps of evidence controls help to ensure the computer's evidence is authentic. That's very important. So any software, some people obtain the soft data from the computers, should be shown that data will be in the container. That's a software container. I mean here we call it container. Um, so that's no one can change this data at all. When attorneys challenge digital evidence over, they raise the issue whether computer-generated record or the data or altered or damaged. That's the attorney try to do that whenever he found the evidence, try to make the court or judgment doubt. Hey, this data is not accurate. There is something. So this is the important. Maybe you cannot criticize, cannot deny this because there is digital signature about this thing, but they want to do what want to do. They want to do make the court doubt about your evidence. So you need to make sure no things make your evidence have any weakness. So one test to prove that computer stored record are authentic, demonstrating that specific person created the record. So the author of Microsoft Word document, for example, can be identified by using file metadata. What the file metadata? This, if I have a file here like this file, right click, I have a Windows 11. So if you don't have Windows, you're gonna see it like this. And I'm going to go to the properties. So this information, locations, information about the file, who created the file, who able to access the file, those informations, this data we call metadata, the data about the files, information about the file, data about the data. Okay, where's my PowerPoint? So the process to establishing digital evidence trustworthiness or originated with written document and the best evidence rule. So the best evidence rule states to prove the content of written document, recording, or photograph, ordinary the original file is required. So the original file should be have it. Federal rule of the evidence. For example, you cannot say, "Hey, this file, I have this evidence, but this file is deleted from the main. We found it in the computer, but later we found deleted from the main computer." So this is will be problem. You cannot talk about the file. Sometimes we copy the file, then the original computer, someone did the file by mistake or something happened. So again, you need to make sure whatever you try to provide is exists in the computers for the suspicious computers. Allow duplicate instead of the original when they produce the same impression as the original. As long as a bit stream, we explained this last video, bit stream meaning bit by bit, 0 by 0 1 copying, data as created, maintained properly, the copies will be admitted can be admitted in the code. Say, for example, hey, how we know we copy right way? Say I copy by a bit stream. This software I use it copy by bit stream. So this is very important. So when you purchase software, it tell you, hey, is this software support by bit stream? That's your software. Or this software doesn't support if you don't want this, but I believe you need this bit stream, because it's very, very strong way. Example, not being able to use the original evidence. Investigation involve network servers. Um, what the network server? The network server, first of all, for people non computers, if in every computers, like in our school, we have a computers in the lab or whatever. Then we have a computers. When you put the username and password here, you put username and password. So password. So this computer sending this network, meaning we have an internet, a network. So this computer sending this information to the server. Server is the main computer that control everything in network. What they have a list, something called policies. What the user do, what the user cannot do. So this so removing the server from the network acquired evidence data could cause harm. So for example, any company have a server, like a Farm McDill or any school have a server. So what if there's some things as a computer investigator say, hey, we need to obtain the server or access the server to obtain some data for a while. This is impossible. When uh, it is even have a big risk. No one can do that. No one can stop the work, the websites. For example, a farming the website or school websites will be in the server. So if you obtain the server, everything down, meaning this organization will not work till you finish. Even after you finish, maybe they are not able to work because the server is very sensitive computer. So it could be cause any damage for the data. So no, it's not easy to return it back. Yeah. So to analyze computer forensics data, learn use more than one vendor tool. What mean? This is also very important. Um, um, how I jump this one? Hold on. Sorry, I come back to the my slides. I didn't know how I jumped to the end slides suddenly. So So also that's why we cannot using sometimes using the server, and the investigation we have a private sector, we have a non-government, and we have a government. So private sector organization, small, medium business, large or corporations, non-government organizations, all those apply with doing some computer forensics as well. Non-government organization, which is NGO, must comply with the state public disclosures and federal Freedom Information Act laws and make the certain documents available as public record whenever they doing the investigation. So when you ask sometimes you ask you to, because you have skills, ask you to come on, we need to do some investigations, because again, sometimes we do investigation because we don't know if there's something happen or not. Just we need to double check. We need to double check if something's happened. The people have a doubt if this manager or if this person could using misuse the computer or do any illegal or unacceptable behavior. So you need to apply whenever you found the data. There is certain way to put the data after you found it, so it became in the public. Nobody can say, "Hey, the report should be in public." Then also from the private sector, also a special category of private sector business include ISP. ISP, the internet service provider. What internet service provider? The company that give you the internet. For example, if you have in the home routers, this router is connected to the company that you pay every month some fees to get the internet, so you can use your laptop, your TV, stuff like that, or smart TV, stuff like that. So ISP can investigate computer abuse committed by employers. So some people can using abuse computer. What do you mean abuse? For example, the company give me computers to do something, like I do work for this company. I use it for myself to upload movie or creating my video or stuff like that. Or data mining for Bitcoin, for example. So except for activities that are deemed to create emergency situation. Investigating and controlling a computer incident scene in the corporate much easier than the crime scene. Incident scenes is often workplace incidents. So because when some things happen, any company or any organization, for example, they have a lot of computers. So if some things happen, we can lock the computer, not allow anyone to touch it, till someone like you come to see it or take a look at it. Typically, business have inventory database of computers hardware and software. They have a meaning every hardware, the serial number, the size, whatever. Help identify the computer forensics tool need to analyze policy violations because again, I opened Facebook. I opened Facebook during my from the computer my computer's work in the at work. At work. So I'm working in the computers, for example. Then I open Facebook, but it is legal or illegal over Facebook? Yes, legal. But for the company, say, hey, not allow, for example, open social media and the computers for the company computers. For example. This case, meaning there's we call the policy. So this is the case illegal because you do something against the policy. So corporate policy statement about misused digital assets. That's consider uh, uh, um, illegal stuff. So companies should display warning banner. So you can the company also and publish policy. So when something about that, for example, because for example, for a long time ago, I was work at the big companies, a very huge company, big name. So I will not mention this company name, but it was big. Still, it can exist, still it is big. So they not allow us to open our social media, but sometimes they have the company um, social media pages like Twitter. They post some stuff. The company itself, every company has a social media pages. They post some stuff, post some stuff. Then after they post some stuff like this, um, they send email for all employees. Say, hey, we post this one. So it was like a recommendation, like something nice. We retweet this one or repost it or share it with other. So in this case, we open the Facebook or Twitter in the company in the computers, uh, company computers. Even though so you don't open it, but in this case, we allowed to open because I'm doing something to research, or sorry, reshare, or sharing the data. So again, the policy should be exist everywhere. So nobody can say deny. I don't know this policy. Starting that reserve the right of the inspect computing asset at all. Private sector investigators should know under what circumstance they can examine employee computers. Oh, okay. So also, what about the privacy? The privacy it's very important. Even if you work in the computers, uh, um, company computers, you should have how about what the situation they mentioned a company when established a company be able to access the computers for someone. Okay, if the private investigators find that employee committing or has committed crime, employee can file criminal complaint and to the with the police, or maybe sometimes send it to the manager if something's like against the policy. If you discover evidence crime during the company policy investigation, determine whether the incident met the element of the criminal law, and also you need to check if the inform the management of the incident. You need to share with them, and also work with the corporate attorney how to respond to this criminal. Processing law enforcement crime scenes. You must be familiar with the criminal rules of search and seizure. And again, you need some familiar here, not fully knowledge, because again, the staff will be responsible, one of your team, which is responsible about the or expert in the law. You should also understand how search warrant works and what and when you process one. So law enforcement officers may search and seize criminal evidence with a probable cause. Refers that standards specifying whether the police officer has the right to make an arrest or conducting personal or property search. So with the probable uh, um, cause, a police officer can obtain search warrant from the judge, then authorize it to search on Caesar there's specific evidence related to the criminal uh, that happened. And then the Fourth Amendment states only warrant particularly describe the place to be searched and the person or things be seized. So announcement informations and related information often include with the evidence you are trying to recover. So judge often issue limiting phrase. So for example, she told you, hey, you can search in the email for this person, for example, specific person, the name it, and in the search in the email that between this date and this date, this date and this date. So if you go, for example, to browsing the photo documents or photo folder in this computers, that would be illegal. So that's why we need keeping this data and private, because maybe after research you find nothing, but there's guy have a private life, and have a image or stuff like that. So not allow anyone to access without any permission. And view doctrine. So in a plain view of objects in plain view of officer who has a right to be in the position uh, have that view the consider it is like a evidence, or maybe could be evidence, so can Caesar without warrant and maybe to introduce into evidence. So crime scene happen and we found many stuff, so we can Caesar some stuff who can do this one. So officer is where who or she has a legal right to be, or ordinary scenes must not be enhanced by evidence technology anyway. Any discover must be by chance. So, view doctrines applicability and digital forensics world is being rejected. Example, in case where police were searching in computer for evidence related illegal drug trafficking, if an examiner observe, for example, any AVI file meaning videos, movies, and find child pornography, for example, he must get in an additional, so cannot obtain this. Hey, I found this evidence, so can't send it to court. No, no, no. Your search warrant because for email, not about this one. So you need to go back to the judge and do report and give you another search warrant, so otherwise will be you destroy your case. Preparing for the computer search and scissor probably the most important step in digital investigations. So you might need to answer or get to answer from victim and informant who could be police detective assigned in this case. So you are assigned when you are assigned a digital investigation case, start by identifying nature of the case, including whether it is involve private or public sector, because it's very important. If the nature in the case it's how you proceed. So what type of assets or resources you need to use this investigation. So additional complications, that's files stored offsite that are accessed remotely. That's meaning we have a cloud, we have something cloud, or the cloud storage data access somewhere we didn't know, so we need that access. We call this remotely, and also stored on drives, where drives meaning in the computers on the when computer like I have a C and D. So when you have your file in the document, we call drives. That's like a technical name. If you are not allowed to take a computer to your lab, determine resources need to acquire evidence. So you need to bring your small labs to your crime scene. So get much information as about location of digital crime. So identifying potential hazards like internet with you interact with your like a hazard material teams, and you find the guidelines like a hazmat bag, and also check the high temperatures over there. So it determines who is in charge. Private sectors computer investigation usually be require only one person. In the law enforcement, we have a large scale of investigations, meaning we have a team and we have multiple leaders here. So again, you need to coordinate with those team. Determine what you need. For example, what operating system over there, what the right server. It's a kind of server to responsible to save the data and the hard drives. What kind of database? So we have Excel, we have Access. What kind of those things are required? So you can, when you go to the visiting this crime scene, you need to go with those people know those technology. Also, prepare tools using incident and crime scene information, creating initial response field kit, which should be lightweight weight and easy to transport. Also, creating extensive response field kits, so including tools such as laptop or workstations and some other hardware tools, so that it will be allow you to these things. So, for example, this kind of kit you look a flashlight, digital camera, digital forensics kit, these things, and laptop computers. And also here's some number of the tools, for example, cables with something called SATA cable. Again, you are not responsible, just this for your knowledge, because that's nice to know. But again, this is thing would be taken care by IT guy in your team. So before you're initiating the search, review facts, plan, objective, and try to investigate team with you have assembled. Also to collect how to your goal, what the goal to collect the secure digital evidence or developing skills, digital evidence. Um, Volatile. Volatile meaning the data will be exist in the RAM. We explained this also previous video, not hard drive. So in this guy, you need a fast, quickly access before the computer shut down or something like that. Slow response can cause the digital evidence be lost. So we need to do this for quick because if there is exist in the RAM. Also, when you securing a computer incident crime scene, you need your goals to preserve the evidence, keep the information confidential, and use yellow um, tab barrier tape. Also legal authority for corporate incident, including violations. Professional curiosity can destroy the evidence because involve the police officers and other professionals who aren't part of the crime scene processing team. So someone is not part of the team can be destroy the entire case. Actually, automated fingerprint identification system. So what the automated everyone in the computer we have something called AFIS, automated fingerprint identification system, like a digital signature. We have a multiple on the hash. We call hash value sometimes. That's make you someone that every user that by operating systems will be identify who using this computer and certain times. So, seizing digital evidence and scene, law enforcement can seize the evidence with the proper warrant. Corporate investigator might have the authority only to make an image of the suspect drive. When seizing digital evidence in criminal investigations, follow U.S. DOJ standard. Also, investigations follow the same rules. And consult with the attorney or for extra guidelines. The evidence can you acquire at the scene depends on the nature of the case um, and also alleged with the criminal or violations. Okay, so how is the computers powered on when you arrive? This question you need to ask. How are you going to protect the computer and media while transporting them to your lab? All those questions you need to be prepared and planned. So if because this question can ask you when you present the report and the court, they're gonna ask you by attorney and judge to make sure you are follow the right way, so this evidence is accurate and they can use it. So processing an incident or crime scenes guidelines: keep a journal, document your activity, secure the scene, pay attention of details, stuff like that. Sketch incident. This is also general informations. Be prepared with the old operating system we call Windows X or Microsoft DOS and stuff like that. Again, those parts of this operating systems will be responsible. This responsibility of the IT teams with that when you're in your team. Bag tag, assign the person to collect, maintain the two separate logs meaning that the data when people get in, get out. Collecting much personal information as a possible suspected victims, collect documentations, hardware, software, backup media, stuff like that. Also, when you have a ride, what the ride, it is um, when the data exists in the server. Data exists in the server, kind of the server, a kind of a cloud. So this technique, extracting evidence from the large systems, exists around maybe different state or different countries. Drawback: it doesn't recover data free or slack space. It can we have some losing data. Also, using technical advisor that could be someone in IT, so explain you how you can obtain the data from RAID. Even the RAID, we have a Google, for example, and we have some people call it RAID, some call it RAID server or RID servers. So we get the data to obtain. So we need to create a search warrant by itemizing what we need for the warrant. Responsibility for the technical advisor: know all information. I can say like know all technical information related with this technology. So, for example, it could cloud, could be server, could be Linux. So, we need someone knows this technology if there is exist. So, documenting evidence in the lab, we need everything be documented. So, such things cannot go to the lab without any documentations, and the right and the documentation show it is received with the secure situations. Also, maintain integrity of digital evidence in the lab. We need to show how to maintain the integrity by using, for example, MD5, sh1, which is or SA, which is kind of this the technical name of different digital signature or digital hash. Digital hash is another name for digital signature. So every user has a unique number that attached with the document. So those kind of software run by operating system is not exist under our control. So storing in the evidence could be storing in CD and DVDs, could be USB, could be in magnetic tape, etc. Super digital linear tape. This is another one, or smaller external SDLT, or don't rely in the media storage method. So make the copies for your you make two copies for every image you prevent. Image meaning the copy. When you obtain the data from the computers, suspicious computers, we call image. We have an image. Evidence. So evidence, evidence retentions and media storage needs to maintain the chain of the custody of digital evidence, restricted access, a lab of an evidence storage area. Chain of custody, it's required to be for digital evidence actually. So you need to be retain the evidence independently and with your local check with your local prosecuting attorney's office how make you sure that you are in compliance. So this is very important. So this is kind of simple log files. You can use it, or just a recommendation. Nothing. Every organization have a different stuff. So again, documenting evidence, creating your evidence custody form, identify evidence, identify who handled, identify list the data and stuff like that. Also, such what kind of signature you're gonna use, because we have something called MD5. It is the signature software exists in the, so actually both of them exist in the operating system, and the both gonna created by operating system, for example MD5 or SHA1. So click identity check (CRC). It is mathematical algorithms determine whether the file content have changed or not. So also this is one of the technique to about the digital hash. Digital hash meaning digital signature. So we call it hash. The function that creating we call hash function. Messages, this is called CRC, message digest 5, which is MD5, sorry, mathematically formula also that go to the hexadecimal. What the hexadecimal? Another language in the computer, because the binary language, 0 1, and the people building the computer 0 1 0. It is low level. People sometimes computer guys work at the low level. So but again they cannot recognize what this number, so they're creating another middle level. So we have a called hexadecimal. We called hexadecimal language, which is consists numbers 1 2 3 with the A B C some character, some characters. So um, this is would be applied by MD5. And also we have another secure algorithm called secure hash algorithm version 1. Why? Because multiple version. We call it SHA. It's another hashing algorithm developed by National Institute Standard and Technology (NIST). So every operating system must follow or comply with these things. Okay. Kate hash set created an encryption utility secret key. So this is the things. FTK is software that using MD5, for example. So it show you, for example, this. See this code. Oops. Oops. Trying to use my pen. However, uh, these numbers. This is the code. That's so MD5 signature, SH1 signature. So we have a two digital signature in this file. So reviewing case. When to reviewing case, general tasks you perform in computers, identify case requirement, plan your investigation, conduct investigation, complete the case report, and critique the case. Where's if someone try to critique my case, where is my weakness? So to try to cover the weakness. Okay. Most cases, simple civil investigations. Most cases, corporate environment consider low-level investigations. Then covered surveillances or sniffing tools, data transmission. So sniffing meaning someone tried to hacking the system by reading the data that go through the wire. For example, computer crime examples: fraud, check fraud, and homicide. You know, so also need the warrant to start seizing this evidence or any evidence. So this kind of examples and for common face. So here the search warrant is limits for me. For example, this computer or this computer, stuff like that. So reviewing the background informations throughout the book, use data files. For example, this is forgot this one. This is like a kind of things we don't have a lab in this class. Okay. So again, in the end of this one, we have a summary. So we needed digital evidence, any things stored in the 0 1 binary format. In the private sector, incident scene often containing and control the area, and companies should publish the rights of the inspect computer assets policy, and also protecting the safety and the health as well as integrity evidence as well. Follow the guidelines always, as you you collect the digital evidence, you need try to protect those evidence from nobody can manipulate with this evidence. Forensics hash value, it is the digital signature, which is to identify and make sure nobody can deny if you, hey, this your digital signatures, nobody can deny it. To analyze the computer forensics data, we need to learn use more than one vendor tool. Okay, and also, you must handle the evidence in the same way every time, systematically. After you're determined that incident scenes has digital evidence, identify the digital information artifacts and you can use as evidence. Thank you so much. See you next class. Thank you.